Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky. With me, as always, are my good buddies, Eddie Guevara and Chuck Caputo. Gentlemen, what's up?
All right.
Hello there. Hello.
We're going to start off today. We haven't talked about a lot of our friends of the show for a while, but first we're going to get into, guys, remember the Mastery Mystery Robot Model Contest. That's kind of a cool there. Well, we've extended it to October 31st, 2022, 12 a.m. Halloween night. So gives you guys an extra 2 months out there to head over to 1878press.com to get your robot plans. There is a link on, if you guys go to houseoftheunusual.com, in the form you'll see Mastery Mystery Robot Model Contest. Just go to that forum thread. You'll see the link there and all the rules and everything. You get a really cool Frankenstein poster, 7-foot Frankenstein monster poster, over $140 value. All you got to do is pay the cheap shipping and the poster is yours, man. It's really cool. So go over there and check it out for all the rules, and you get the link to 1878press.com where you could find the model plans, which I'm still putting mine together. It's I tell you what, it's tedious, but it's fun. I'm in the gluing part now. So what I've been doing is gluing the parts, and then I'm holding them together with kind of like these craft clothespins. That way it, makes sure that the glue stays on there. But yeah, it's a neat little project. It's definitely challenging. So if you guys like a challenge out there, definitely check it out. All right. Also, we also got a lot of other cool stuff on houseoftheunusual.com. That's our flagship site. So definitely check that out. Also, you can head over to mymoviemonsters.com. Scary Monsters number 128, the horror host issue. They're pre-ordering it now, so it is available for pre-order. And the issue 127, you could get it on the site or at your local bookstore, usually Barnes & Noble. If somebody has it. That's the Island Ghouls issue, and it is one of the most frightening issues that they've put out in a long time. And then also, they have the copyrights for Castle of Frankenstein, so they are going to be putting out number 36 coming this fall. I don't believe there's an actual date yet. But keep checking back with mymoviemonsters.com for the reemergence of Castle of Frankenstein with number 36. All right, so we got that one out of the way. We got our 1878 press out of the way. And YouTube, House of the Unusual. Check us out on there. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos, all that good stuff. Eddie and Chuck are always putting out some great videos on there, several every week. So just go to YouTube, search in House of the Unusual, and you will see our site. All right, all that stuff out of the way. Gentlemen, what's going on? Chuck, what's new?
You know what? Keeping pretty busy. I actually made my rounds today. I went to Home Depot, I went to Lowe's, and a few other places to look at their Halloween stuff. And I tell you, man, there's some neat stuff coming out. Target didn't quite have them up yet. They still have the school, the back to school stuff. But there is one neat thing that I got from Cracker Barrel. It's a skeleton hand that's attached to like an old desk bell. And so
cool.
So when you walk near it, it'll ding, ding, and the finger goes up and down. It's like really cool, man. So I hooked it up with a remote activation type of thing. It'll ding on my command. So sometime in the future, God willing, I'll be making a brief Halloween video, and I'll be using this in there. But yeah, Cracker Barrel has it. It's like $25. It's a really cool looking desk bell. It's a gold metal bell. Well, it's plastic, but it looks like metal. And the hand is really neat. It's a nice skeleton hand, and it goes up and down. It rings the bell. It's really cool.
Nice. Yeah, I went to Target yesterday, and they didn't have any Halloween stuff up. They had the aisles getting prepped to put it up. They still had a lot of the school stuff.
Yeah, that's the same out here in Pittsburgh. The aisles are pretty bare, but they still have some school stuff in there. I guess it's a matter of maybe a few more days or like a week or something like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, Walmart doesn't have their stuff up either yet. I checked those.
Big Lots does have Halloween stuff up, but I wasn't too impressed with what they had this year.
Yeah, this year was pretty crappy with Big Lots. I was surprised because they usually get some pretty nice stuff, But
Yeah, a lot of the stuff you look at it and it's pretty cheaply made and all that, and it's very pricey. I'm guessing a lot of that is because inflation and everything. But there was just nothing there that I kind of looked at and was like, yeah, I got to have that for my decorations.
no, it didn't. It didn't appeal to me either. I just walked around
Yeah.
a little bit. Forget. I don't see anything I really like. Target usually has pretty good stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
They do.
And then I'll try to stop at one of the Halloween stores or whatever. Sometime in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eddie, what's new with you?
The same thing as you guys. I went and I noticed Target had most of the aisles ready, but not the things out. I was surprised that Party City didn't really have anything out either, just a few items. But then I realized next to Party City, they're opening one of those Halloween stores that I think it's owned and ran by Party City. So, I'm waiting to see that. But, and I mean, the store's just getting open now. So they're still stocking it. So I guess I don't know why they just did it so late. You would think it would be like August when they do that. But apparently that's where it is. Now, in Home Depot, I went there, nothing out yet. Lowe's, I was going to check out today. But yeah, you know what's kind of funny when you guys said I'm going to bring up this with Big Lots. I was surprised too that they had like kind of crappy stuff. The only thing they have kind of cool is there's two large life-size skeletons carrying a coffin.
Right.
But that's like 130, which I thought was absurd, especially since the skeletons they use sell for like $35 each. Then the other thing that I found kind of cool was what you're talking about. I mean, another thing, I'm sorry, Big Lots had the same haunted house from last year, which is one of the best items ever, but it's the same thing from last year. But what I was going to say to you guys that every year I go ahead and buy, and the hand you're talking about, Chuck, I think I bought a version of that hand
Okay.
about maybe 2 years ago. But I also had a typewriter that types itself, and the skeleton hand types, and then
Yeah. You know what? I bought that typewriter a few years ago, and I put together like a cool little routine. I'll send you the video later, Eddie. Yeah, that was about 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 years ago. The typewriter. That's neat.
yeah, and I got like also remember the projector. They sold like two different projectors, one in Target, one in Big Lots, and
Hey.
then it goes like that old fast,
Yeah.
and you see like a skeleton dancing. I've got quite a few of those things. This year, the hand with the belt thing, you kind of reminded me. I was wondering where it is in my storage because yesterday I spent a couple hours there, and I'm heading up prior to Lake George early tomorrow. Meet up with Dave up there and discuss some new business ideas and ventures that we're going to be launching. Overall, everything's pretty good. I do have a very interesting thing that happened in my job, and this was last week. Not last week, I'm sorry, yesterday. A new person moved in, and they're a big-time social media person. They have like millions of hits. They make their living off of this, and they were like, "Oh, I'm going to help promote your channel." So I said to them, "Give me a couple of days to figure it out." Because you don't want to get too quick, whatever. But that might be an interesting thing for us.
Nice.
Other than that, I think that's about it, Joe. Oh yeah, before I forget, I was talking to Joe. I actually mentioned yesterday. I came across a brand new movie about UFOs. It's not new, I think, because Stanton Friedman is in it, and I think he died about 2 or 3 years ago. So it's probably about 4 or 5. But it's called Out of the Blue, the UFO Definitive Collection or something like that. I forgot the exact name on it, but it was really good, man. It was an hour and a half or more, almost 2 hours long, and they show footage, man, that was absolutely amazing. And the best part I liked about it was that they went into Russia and they were talking with all the Russian generals and the different things that they saw. And then they had two American Air Force pilots that were sent out I think it was not Germany, but in London somewhere where we had a nuclear Air Force base, or the Air Force base was delivering nuclear bombs. And for a 3-day period, they showed a lot of a lot of stuff going on, and they said that they saw a craft that had crashed, and three of the Air Force guys went into the woods. They came across this craft that was 9 feet tall. I'm sorry, 9 feet wide, about 6 feet tall, and it was just hovering over the air with red light and blue lights in the bottom, red light on top. And one of the guys was saying that he touched the craft and it was still warm. There was no landing gear, but it was kind of interesting though because they're saying that they were there. The two guys, they took note. They took whatever, and they said it went up into the air, it took off, and it just shot out and left. But I don't know. I don't know if Joe ever heard of that. I know that they were showing American people that work for the government here, from Clinton to before Clinton, Jimmy Carter, where the government, United States government, had asked for NASA and stuff to open up, and they got a no answer basically, including President Clinton.
Yeah.
And they were told no, we're not. There's no. I don't know. That's kind of interesting that even the presidents wouldn't know. But anyway, Joe, what's your take?
Well, that documentary you're talking about, I'm looking at the picture you sent me, is from 2003. UFO TV presents Out of the Blue, the definitive investigation on UFOs. And we were talking about that last night real briefly, and I was thinking about it, and I want to say that I seen that when it came out or shortly after it came out, but I don't remember too much about the documentary. I might have to check it out again.
Yeah, I'll have to check this out. It's amazing how fast time goes. Look, that's already been close to 20 years old.
Yeah. Oh, gee. Yeah. Almost 20 years old.
Wow.
I thought it had been more recent because I don't recall ever seeing that, but that's interesting, Joe. Wow.
Yeah. But you know what? There was the movie you mentioned last week. I did get to see the other day, The Flight That Disappeared from 1961.
Loved it. Great movie.
I tell you what, that was a great movie. I can't believe it hasn't had more exposure or any exposure. I've never even heard of it before.
No, me neither. It was a fantastic movie. I'll tell you the thing that freaked me out, which I was telling Eddie on the phone last week, is there was a dining area on that plane. I've never seen a dining area like that in my life, where you can sit in like a private room kind of, and you can have a drink. She said, "Hey, let's go into the dining area, to get a drink." What are you talking about? I mean, I've never seen anything like that on a plane in my life.
Yeah, that was, it's really cool to see at that time how the planes look compared to today. I mean, you were allowed to smoke on it.
Yeah.
There was like a very personal relationship between the stewardesses and the passengers.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, the stewardess nowadays, they like begrudgingly give you something to drink.
Yeah.
Like they have a look on their face like, oh, if I really have to, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, it's a different look at how flying used to be and how kind of open it was. From the cockpit wasn't really secured too much, and it was more of like everybody was more close knit than they are now.
Absolutely.
Now it's like you just get on the plane, sit down, shut up, and we'll get to where we're going.
Yeah, shut your pie hole. You might get some crackers if you're lucky. Right?
Yeah, really, crackers and some flat pop.
It's kind of funny, Joe, when you're saying exactly what you're saying and the stuff. I mean, what I was going to tell you, Chuck, I did get on I think it was a JetBlue plane about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah. And
I was sitting in the very, very last seat. And I did notice in the very end where the stewardess were, this is actually the first plane that I noticed had that. Did have like a long seat where the students were able to sit like next to each other, like a sofa type of thing. And they had like the whole kitchen and area back there. So I did notice, and I said, wow, it's kind of like a large area back there.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the bathrooms are something else. Those are so little. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting too. But they're little, but at the same time, they're not dirty, man.
No, they're not dirty.
It's surprising. You get on a bus, man. Good luck if you can, but the bathrooms in the plane, especially JetBlue, they're very nice.
They're
clean. I gotta admit that.
Yeah, they're clean.
But we were looking at 1961, which is, we're talking about probably where the flying. I'm sure it must have cost a fortune to fly back in those days.
Yeah.
And if you notice, things were like but that movie, I was just scrolling to YouTube. I forgot what it was. and I came across, and it just caught my attention. But I was very surprised that it's a very good film, not a long film, but it caught my attention throughout the whole film. And it had a, but that's what I thought it was kind of done like before the atomic bomb, because of the, the story behind it,
Right.
how they were about to invent it. But it was actually 61. So
Yeah.
I think
I love the
I
whole
was
concept.
I was like you. It caught my attention the whole way through. I just kept wanting to see what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was amazing, and the whole concept behind it. Like I think when Eddie first told us about this, it kind of felt like a Twilight Zone. It really did.
Yeah, it really did. Yes, and you know what? I'm glad that you said that, Chuck, because this week we are gonna instead of having a movie or TV show of the week for Cryptic Classics, we're gonna have a Twilight Zone.
Ooh, all right. I love.
So, you brought that up at the perfect time, man.
Oh
So,
my goodness, I'm the number one Twilight fan. Okay, what's the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, you're like you could read minds and all that because you knew that was coming. But for everyone out there, and we talked about the flight that disappeared last week. If you're a fan of Twilight Zone, watch this movie because it's an hour and 12 minutes of a Twilight Zone episode, and you'll really enjoy it. It does have some atomic bomb themes and all that for the atomic age, which was pretty typical in the 60s because we were at the height of the Cold War and everything. But check that movie out. So this week for Cryptic Classics, we're gonna go with the Twilight Zone. Now the original Rod Serling Twilight Zone, 1959 to 64, and what I want people to do out there is maybe watch an episode that you haven't seen in a while or never seen, and let us know about it on houseoftheunusual.com under the forum thread, Cryptic Classics. I'm going to put a little post on there for the Twilight Zone for this week's Cryptic Classics, and let us know under there which Twilight Zone episode you watched, what you thought of it, and let us know some of your favorite Twilight Zone episodes, or even some that you don't really care for, because I have a few of my favorites, and there's some that are just kind of like,
right.
If I don't watch them again, that's okay. But they're not bad, but they're not too good. So that is going to be our Cryptic Classics for the week.
Yeah, but
the Twilight Zone.
Joe, you were supposed to say we will evoke in a new. You got to sound like the Twilight Zone. Man.
I'll leave that to Rod Serling. He could do it.
Listen, I wanted to also tell you guys I was so intrigued by the movie. The flight that got that disappeared, and one thing I noticed, I don't know if it's available on DVD or not. It was kind of weird, but I did order the poster, man. I ordered it on eBay. It's a really nice poster for it.
It's an original poster.
I don't know if it's original. I think it's a reprint, but it's like 20 by 40. But if you notice, it looks really cool. It looks like a plane has been hijacked. It's got, it looks good. The guy who's the pilot actually there looks like he's in a trance looking into space, Joe, I think it was you who sent me the link for the poster.
Okay.
But it's really cool. But I mean, I'm very surprised with that film that I've never heard of it before. Like you said, Joe, it was shocking. And yet it was so cool. And that's what I experienced when I bought that box set of 50 horror films and stuff in the past. When I think, not Sam Goody, I'm thinking Sam Goody's, I'm going way back. With FYI Video, when it was going out of business, I bought it for I think it was like $7 or $8.99. And I started watching those films, and I got shocked at how many of those films from the 50s that you never even hear of that are so good. They're equivalent to this one.
Absolutely. You guys mentioned Rod Serling. I'll tell you what, he was so far ahead of his time. I mean, that guy was beyond creative. Holy smokes. First with the Twilight Zones, and later in the early to mid 70s, just before he died, was the Night Gallery. And
I love Night Gallery.
Yeah. You know what? I think his wife, Carol, I think her name was, if I'm not mistaken, she just passed away about a year or two ago.
Wow.
And she was like 90 or maybe 91 or something. He was only when he died. He died in 1975. He smoked like 4 packs a day, from what I read.
That might do it to you.
So what they attempted to do was do like a primitive heart bypass surgery, and I think he died on the operating table. He was only 50 years old. And,
wow.
Chuck, but the guy was brilliant. Oh my goodness.
Chuck, tell Dave. Tell Dave. I'm sorry. Tell Joe what you did about the movie The Flight That Disappeared. What did you do right after you saw it?
I
You
don't
went.
know. Ate
You
some
did,
potato chips. What did I do?
no, no, no. Didn't you tell me you looked up everybody had died from the
Oh,
movie?
I always do that. I always check up this cast. Yeah, you know what? I don't know why. That's something that I always do when I watch a movie. You know what? As best I remember, the only person that's still alive is the dark-haired woman that was one of the main characters with the thick eyebrows. You know, she's in her 80s, and as far as you know, she had short hair on there, and I think she's about 80, maybe 84, 85, somewhere around there. But the other people, they're all dead. Everybody's dead on there.
I
And
do the same thing, Chuck, when I'm watching a movie or TV show, especially old ones. I'd like to see, a little bit about the actors and actresses and see, are they still alive?
yeah,
Were they young or old when they died? I've noticed a lot of these old time actors and actresses, they died fairly young, and a lot.
they did. When we watched that Lex Barker movie not too long ago, I checked him out. He was in his early 50s when he died.
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with them. Like you said, Rod Serling smoked a lot. A lot of people smoked, back then. That was the thing to do. So, I started noticing that. But I also wanted to see, what else were they in? Who were they married to? What kind of like
Yeah,
their personal life stuff. I find it interesting while I'm watching
yeah,
the
I
movie
do.
to
For
get
some
to know
reason, I
them.
always checked into stuff like that. You know what? You know, I haven't done it recently, but I used to go on a website. I don't even know if it's still on there. It was called deadpeopleserver.com. And it tells you who's still alive, like the Hollywood stars from the years ago, and like who's dead and stuff. And I mentioned that to people, like I was somewhere, and I said, yeah, I go on deadpeopleserver.com. They looked at me like I was the strangest person in the world, so I don't even bring that up anymore. Yeah.
When you're saying people dying young, it's true, Joe. If you look and you take a look at everybody, all the famous actor from, not this guy that lived in Hoboken, New Jersey, not Frank Sinatra, but when you look at all the other actors, they usually die between the ages of 55 and 60. Like
Absolutely.
very few people went past 60, which is really surprising. Um, and it's sad too. But then again, it's like the smoke. It doesn't Rod Serling, when he starts entering into the Twilight Zone, a lot of times he's holding a cigarette in his hand.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was a chronic smoker. And I think that he originally wanted to get Orson Welles to do the narration. But I think he wanted way too much money. So that's when Rod Serling did it himself. And you know what? It turned out so good. I couldn't even like imagine someone else doing that.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine Orson Welles doing it. I'm sure he would have done a great job, but it just wouldn't be the same.
No.
Right? No, no, not the same. Orson Welles just had the voice, and he could, like Orson Welles did a movie way back. It was called The Late Great Planet Earth.
Right.
That's the first time I ever heard of him as a kid, because I didn't know anything about him in the 1930s. I mean, I'm a little too young for the 1939 thing. But when he did the War of the Worlds and stuff like that made him really famous. And then Citizen Kane, the movie. I mean, the thing about Orson Welles, he was a great speaker. I know a lot of people say Citizen Kane was one of the best films ever done and stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of watched it. I couldn't go through the whole thing.
Yeah. You know what? I was always curious about that movie too. I heard so much about it. I guess about 8 years ago, I did finally rent it and I watched it, and I just didn't care for it. I didn't really like Orson Welles. There was something about him I didn't care for. I know that
I've never seen that movie.
yeah, I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't like it nearly as
No,
much as
me neither. No,
yeah,
Orson Welles was very I mean, I liked Orson Welles because of that movie, The Late Great Planet Earth. But you know what? To be honest with you, I don't know. They just said that Citizen Kane was such a well done movie that this is what I heard, that they actually blackballed him in Hollywood for some reason. I forgot what that reason was, and they
mhm.
didn't make the movie. But the whole thing is with Orson Welles, the voice is a killer, and that's where Chuck
That's where
comes in.
right.
Chuck
Yeah.
is a mixture. Well, Chuck is a mixture of Orson Welles and
Uh,
Wolfman Jack. This is the Wolfman here.
you know what? And then I think he was an amateur magician, if I'm not mistaken, too. And so he did dabble with in the field of magic as well and everything. But I don't really know if he accomplished anything too much in that field. But yeah, I mean, but the man, I mean, the guy had a great speaking voice, but I didn't care for him as an actor. There's just something about him I didn't like. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it.
Well, Orson Welles is his voice. a lot of that, the way he spoke was artificial.
It was artificial. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called that because it was really popular at the time. It's something like it's like a mixture of British and American, something
Hmm.
Atlantic. I can't remember what it's called.
Hmm.
It was real popular at the time, and that along with his natural tenor voice, made him sound absolutely phenomenal, and it
Right.
really helped him out in his career, especially on radio.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's actually where he started radio.
That's where he started radio. Yeah, you're right. Hey, but you mentioned about the UFOs. Saturday, I guess late afternoon, my cousin Kenny had invited my wife and I, Sherry, up to a little cookout. With his wife, his daughter, and a few of his friends and so forth. So I just came from a show. So I come home, I put the animals away, and I said, "Okay, Sherry, let's go." So she brought a cake along that she baked and so forth. You know what? It all started out really nice. You know what? We all talked about, "Oh yeah, how's the wife and kids?" Blah blah blah. And then, you know what? Before you know it, we said, "Wow, you know what? What about these aliens, huh? How about this Area 51?" So my cousin Kenny and I were out on the backyard talking out there, literally for like 3 hours about aliens, unsolved mystery. It was something. So Sherry goes, "Come on, let's get home. Let's leave. It's getting late." Yeah, it was actually kind of humorous.
Yes.
uh,
Let me ask you, when you're talking about UFO, Joe, you probably seen it, of course, because like you say, you probably saw it when it came out. There's a thing, I think it's from Spain or something, where they show a UFO going above a couple of buildings. It's like an actual film. Uh, do you know which one I'm talking about? It's kind of like an off-color film. It looks like it's kind of black and white slash. Uh, it's got that what do you call that color, like sepia? Do you
Yeah,
know which one?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
I don't know. I wanted you to check that out because it shows a saucer going across a couple of buildings right above the buildings. But if you look at it, right, and you kind of look at it, it kind of wobbles as it's going in circles. And it looks like, let's say you took a paper plate and you spinned it on a string. And then, you're moving and you know how it does that wobbly thing. I wanted you to check that out. It's on that film. But give me
hmm.
your input on that because they showed it there like kind of like a real film. And I don't know. The way it wobbled and stuff just didn't look too, but it looked really. I mean, I don't know. Check it out. Let me know your opinion on that. Because
Yeah, I definitely want to. I'm gonna try to catch that documentary this week because I'm almost pretty sure I've seen it, but I don't remember it. For if I did watch it, it was probably around the time when it first came out, somewhere around 2004 or five. But yeah, it looks interesting. So, but I've never heard of that. I don't think I've ever heard of that Spain one. Maybe if I see the video, it'll jog my memory. But nothing's
well,
coming to me now.
yeah. As you're watching the film, they show actual like footages and stuff from the different ones, and then the famous the famous UFO photographs. One is like you see a dark shadow. One thing looks like an upside down paper plate.
Right.
And it has all the different pictures that we're accustomed to seeing, but that particular one, that it's like a film and it's flying across the thing in the top there. Now I know it's kind of like hard to figure out how that can happen because the buildings are like 30-40 stories high, like how it, but I don't know, it's just the way it was, because when it was spinning around as it spun, it kind of wobbled,
Hmm.
and it made me think it looks like somebody holding a plate on a string and spinning it around. But it came out really good, whatever job they did.
I
I'm
tell you,
sure.
there's a cool site that I stumbled upon a couple months ago. I actually heard the lady speak on um, one of the podcasts I listened to about UFOs and all that. And her website is called skyshipsovercashiers.com. And she's from, I guess, Cashiers, North Carolina. But she posts a lot of really cool images. I'm actually looking at it right now. A lot of cool images about UFOs and Bigfoot on there, videos, photographs, interviews with people, and she's always updating it constantly. I think every week it's updated with stuff. But yeah, it's called skyshipsovercashiers.com, and I have it bookmarked. I check the site a couple times a week just to see what she's posted on there. But there's really cool stuff on there now. Like there's one with Bigfoot peeking in the house window, and it shows a photo of some creature staring in through a window, and there's some accompanying photos that people have found that looks like shelters that a Bigfoot or somebody may have made in the woods, and interviews with people that had confrontations with Bigfoot that have seen them. So it's really interesting. There's another cool one. It's called Large Orb in Front of the Sun, and it's showing a picture of this, looks like a black orb in front of the sun, and then it's showing some other pictures of it and some other UFO photos. But yeah, it's really cool. I would definitely suggest everyone out there check it out, because there is a lot of interesting information on there.
Yeah, definitely.
I've
Wow.
seen that one over the sun, the orb. I've seen that. But Joe, did you remember that in the movie in the beginning? They're talking about the one over Phoenix, Arizona, I think it was, the big triangular craft,
Oh, that was
white.
huge. That was
Oh
huge.
yeah,
I remember.
Phoenix
Yeah.
Lights.
Mhm.
Whatever came out of? Did they ever say, or was that real? Was it a hoax? Because a lot of people were saying they seen this huge thing, and I'm like, how could something like that first get on notice and nobody has pictures of it? That's what I found really weird when the whole town was watching it.
Well,
What do you think?
there's tons of photos of it. There's tons of videos of it that
Oh,
people
yeah.
took. And remember, it was 1997, so there was no cell phones and all that. But there were some people that took video of it with their handheld camera. There are some photos of it, but there's nothing clear, because it was at night. You could kind of see the structure a little bit and some of the lights. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. I don't think that they ever kind of figured out what it was, but it was seen over a large area.
I think the Air Force was claiming that it was flares, but I mean, but the lights were perfectly spaced. You know what I mean? I find that hard to believe it would be flares.
Yeah, they did say flare. I think there was one that it was flares. I can't remember what some of the other ones were, but I do remember the flares. I'm thinking, well, this was seen over a couple states. I don't
Yeah.
think those flares are doing that. So
Well, yeah, but when you get something like that, it just makes me wonder the fact that it was shaped like a triangle, that it might be that craft, that they still haven't come out with, saying they have, that for the last couple of years they've been talking about a triangular spacecraft we have. I wonder if it's that, because remember, it is over like the Arizona area, which is where they have that, experimental base, and that's where they were flying back in the 70s and 80s, the stealth bombers and stuff, and people were saying UFO, UFO, and then it was them.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm sure it was some type of top secret military project, and they're probably out on a test flight or something like that. I doubt it was.
Yeah,
We'll
I
bring
wouldn't
men
be.
from Mars.
No. Another thing. I don't know if you guys ever saw. There's a film I seen a while back. It's like Russia, and they're like investigating a crashed UFO, and it's kind of funny though, because they show like the army people walking around this UFO like this, but when they get next to it, you can see that the UFO disc is like about 6 feet off the ground. And meaning it's a small thing, and from far away they make it look like it's a huge 30-foot saucer. Did you ever see
Yeah.
that film, Joe?
No, where was that from?
From Russia. It's
No,
supposed to be like a Russian UFO and thing. I mean, there's so much stuff out there, man. But
there was somebody was talking about a video, and I found it online about a video. I think it was from the gosh, I can't remember now. It was either from the late 20s or early 30s out of Russia, and they were doing stuff with it was the head of a dead dog, and they had electrodes hooked up to it,
oh
and
yeah,
they were making the dog react to food in front of it. So they put some food in front of it, and like the tongue was going at it. You could see the nose going, and it's like the dog was coming back to life. And then there's another video of supposedly they had euthanized the dog, and they brought the dog back to life, and it was running around. Now the videos are old, so it's nothing new that was done with say any of the technology we have today, but it's unsure if that was propaganda videos or if it was
Mhm.
something that was actually happening at the time. Now you got to remember, Russia was pretty they were very advanced at that time with
Right.
stuff like that. So I think that it is very probable. I don't know what would be the reason to have any type of propaganda videos like that at the time,
but
because there really wasn't any. The Cold War wouldn't be for a couple of decades. So I kind of tend to lean on the side that maybe the the video with the dog head is true, but the video of them bringing the dog back to life to running around might be a little bit of an exaggeration.
Right.
You know, Joe, this film I watched from 2003 or whatever you said the year it was, they actually, one of the generals from Russia, and this is a guy who's talking right after the Cold War, he retired, now he says, Russia he goes back in the 70s or 80s, whatever, when whatever was happening, he goes, we didn't have the technology for that. Imagine way back in the 50s. So it was saying that Russia itself was not yet up in technology. And this is, we're talking the 80s. So I doubt that very much. But another thing I wanted to tell you about Russia, if you see, there's a beautiful, I mean, I'm telling you, this you guys got to see. If you haven't seen it, I think it's on, I think I watched it on YouTube if I'm correct, but it could be Prime Time Video from Amazon, one of the two. The Kursk, the sinking of the Kursk, how the Russians, I mean, it's a beautiful, almost 2-hour episode. They go through the entire, you know, how the Kursk sank and the guys died under the ocean and all that stuff. And I got to tell you one thing about the thing. They're showing modern day Russia. The Kursk only sank about 5, 6, 7 years ago, if I remember. Maybe
Right.
a little more. I don't quite know. But the sinking of the Kursk and everything, when you see Russia and they're going, and in this movie, it's like a National Geographic. So they're actually in Russia and stuff. The buildings in Russia and the way they're living in Russia is equivalent, I think, to the way we lived here in 1975, 1980. You know what I'm trying to say? So I do understand what you're saying, the technology and stuff, but I don't know if the Russians are really that far in advance in technology. I could see the Germans maybe doing a video like that, but I don't know if the Russians seem to be kind of like, you know, they might be militarily, they might have things, but I could see them, their technology is kind of bad still. And I could tell you from an experience, I had a camera that was Russian made. I forgot the name of it and stuff. And the camera was really, and this was back in the early 80s, 90s. It was like a 1950s thing, and it was horrible.
Well, you have to look at there's really kind of two areas of development in Russia. You have pre-Cold War and post-Cold War,
Right.
and they were very, very advanced pre-Cold War. They really kind of led the world in mathematics and physics, chemistry. They had their astronomy, you know, division was very developed, biology, and that led to a lot of you know, military and aviation technology, you know, especially for World War II and everything, and leading into the Cold War. It was kind of when they got to the Cold War and you know, communism really kind of took its hold, when they took a hit in a lot of their sciences and everything. And they still had a little bit going because they wanted to beat, you know, the world in certain aspects, especially space technology. So, you know, they had that first, what was it, Sputnik 1 that launched in 1957. So that was the first one up. They had some military tanks that were some of the best in the world. So their technology was there, especially in pre-World War II. And so it would kind of, you know, when you're dealing with something like bringing, you know, a life back to life, you know, you're dealing with some different technology there. And I think that it could have been a project that was in development and could have been, you know, shifted over to, you know, kind of like a classified area of the government, because they were very, you know, the government was very secretive, especially during World War, you know, leading up to into World War II, and then especially even more in the Cold War. So,
absolutely.
I kind of believe it was there. And if, you know, someone's saying, oh, they didn't have the technology, you know, back then for this, I'd have to disagree or say that person's spreading disinformation, because there's tons of information out there to prove that they did have this technology, and a lot of it was kept from, you know, the public eye.
You know,
I got a question for you guys, since we're on the subject of Russia. In 1908, there was an explosion over there. Do you know? Can you remember what that was? It was
the
World Trade.
Grenoble, I think it was, or something. No, not the Grenoble.
No,
I thought-
Tunguska.
Yeah, the Tunguska event.
Yeah, it was in 1908. Nobody knows exactly what the heck it was, but it like leveled. I couldn't tell you how many forests and like the shock waves were felt around the world. I mean, that's how mega it was,
Yeah,
gigantic.
that's a famous UFO type of thing. I've seen that many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. What Joe, you just actually opened my eyes. You're right.
Now, Chuck, speaking of that, have you heard of the Chilabisc incident as well?
Oh, yeah, that does sound familiar. Yep.
So that was in 2013. I'd have to look it up. 2013. So
Yep.
supposedly it was a meteor or something that came and exploded over Chilabisc, and it was a smaller version of Tunguska, but yeah, it decimated quite a large area, and they really kind of made it similar to the Tunguska event, which I kind of think that might have been some type of maybe meteor explosion, maybe, or a big
That's
one.
what
I
I
don't
think
know.
they
It's
said.
interesting.
They said that about Tunguska, but what country is that you said, Joe?
It's in Russia, and it's Chilabisc. Let me see how to spell it, because it's spelled Chelybinsk. Chilabinsk.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that one. I never heard of that one, but
Yeah,
but,
that was. I remember hearing about that on the radio. It was all over, like Coast to Coast AM and all these other different ones at night, and they were talking about this explosion that happened there. And I'm looking on online right now, and they're thinking that it was a meteor that came in and exploded and caused this huge amount of destruction. So it's saying that the blast yielded 400 to 500 kilotons of TNT.
Wow.
So let's see, 26 to 33 times as much energy as that released from the atomic bomb detonated at Hiroshima. That's crazy.
Wow.
Joe, did you get to hear, since you're here coast to coast, did you hear David Harvesat? He had there was an interview there that was given by the guy Rauscher, I think, that he did concerning Tom. What's it, Mitchell, the sixth man on the moon?
Oh, Edgar Mitchell.
Edgar Mitchell, and there's a book that's sold in 1878 press that it's written about Edgar Mitchell, because he was pretty good friends with Rauscher.
Oh, wow.
And it came on Coast to Coast. There was an interview for it about a year ago.
No, I haven't listened to Coast in actually a couple of years, because they really kind of changed the direction they went there. So I haven't listened to it in years.
Yeah, once Art Bell, I think, passed, it wasn't the same no more, because when Art Bell was running all that, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right now, I think even if you try to hear back episodes, you got to pay for them. I don't even think it's free.
I'm not a fan of kind of any of the. They had a few good guest hosts that were interesting to listen to, but a lot of their topics are kind of the same anymore, and they've really gotten away from the way Art Bell had made it. So I got other stuff that I'd rather listen to. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
When you talk about Russians bringing life, I mean, remember Dr. Frankenstein did it in 1931 with the film.
Yeah, he brought him back to life. Then, hey, speaking of those old films, guess what? I finally started reading, which I've wanted to read in a while.
Don't tell me.
What's that?
Don't tell me it's Frankenstein, the original.
No, I tried reading that maybe a year ago, and I just, after about 30 pages, I couldn't do it anymore.
Wow, you couldn't do it?
No, but I started reading Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh, is it good? I mean, it is freaky. It's a creepy book, man.
Oh,
are you serious?
Oh, it's fantastic. You know what? Every once in a while, like if I book a hotel or something, they'll say, "What's the name, sir?" I'll say Jonathan Harker. Just to play games. They go, "Okay, yeah, right."
Yeah, it's weird. I was surprised that it was. I didn't know it was written in kind of like a diary format, different different characters' diaries. But this version I got of the book, it's all stories of Bram Stoker. So it has Lair of the White Worm in it, and it has a lot of his short stories that have to do with vampires as well. So, and it's nice, they put them all in kind of like a chronological order. So I've started reading obviously Dracula. So, and then I'm gonna go from there. They also have the I think it's the Mystery at Sea was the other one, which I never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Lair of the White Worm. So yeah, I'm excited. But the regular Dracula is, if anybody out there's on the fence about reading it or think that it's an older book and all that, it's very easy to read. His writing is, I think it's great because he just, the way he writes, even though it's in like a kind of like a journal diary format, it's very easy to go through, and you kind of get a nice vivid view of what he was kind of thinking about, of what like Dracula's castle and the roads leading up to it look like. So yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait to finish it and read some of the other ones too.
Yeah,
Joe, and Chuck, a couple of years ago, I think it was close to, like, I don't know, 2000, 2001. And this is kind of funny for me to say this, but there was a line of books. I think it was geared to children, like Scary Story, but it was called Lemony Snicket, the
I remember that.
Unfortunate Events.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys ever even tried, but I don't know why I picked up one of the books one day, and I'm reading this book, and I couldn't put it down, man. I read the entire book in one night. Like, I didn't go to sleep till I finished, and it kept drawing me into the second. I go, are you kidding me? Like, for you to get drawn into a book that you can't put it down, it's crazy. And they did it. That writer achieved that. I did stop in the second or third book. I said, I can't keep doing this, but it was kind of funny. And I got this life-size stand-up of a guy dressed in black suit. He's standing with his back, and he's kind of holding the books in back of his hand. And that was at the store display, and they gave it to me. I still have it today. But I thought that's one of those things. I wonder if what you're talking about, Bram Stoker, is the same thing. I mean, is it Bram Stoker you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like that? Is it like a book you can't put down?
Yeah. To me, it is. I think it's. I was reading it, and I'm trying to visualize the movie from 1931, and there's a lot of differences. So that was kind of hard to kind of, put the movie aside and just go with the book, because there's a lot of differences, and you could tell the movie took a lot of liberties itself. So, but yeah, I couldn't put the book down. I think within the first 2 hours I was reading it, man, I had like 40 pages, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get to work.
Hey, when you're saying that movies, did you guys ever watch The Bat with Vincent Price?
Oh, cool movie.
Yeah,
love it.
Oh, you did watch The Bat, yeah.
Yep.
And there's so then I guess you guys
that was with Agnes
Agnes Moorehead, which
it
makes me laugh that she actually looked nice one time,
Yeah.
She wasn't that pretty in the other one in Bewitched, but what do you guys, I mean, in your opinion, what do you guys think overall of the House on Haunted Hill? I mean, my opinion is the original House on Haunted Hill and The Bat together, but I mean, The Bat not as much, but the House on Haunted Hill, I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. That's a really cool idea. I love the whole concept. I like the background, the whole scenery. No, it's a fantastic movie. I agree with you.
That'd be cool to have a drive and do The Bat and the House on Haunted Hill as like a double feature.
Oh wow, that would be nice, man.
Hey, if you toss a little Dr. Phibes in there, I'm there, man.
Oh man, that would be good. Yeah, it's like after you watch the double creature feature, if you want to stay for the extra movie Dr. Phibes, man.
Oh yeah,
phenomenal Dr. Phibes.
That used to be when they used to play two movies all the time. You always had a double feature.
Yeah.
But what I like about the House on Haunted Hill, I gotta admit, to be honest with you, I like the film so much. I think I bought about 11 copies of the film.
Wow.
And
you do like
the box artwork is a little different. I buy it, and I also bought the colorized version, which is pretty good, man. If you guys never looked at the colorized version,
it's fantastic. I love it.
Really
I think that young girl in there committed suicide. If I'm not mistaken.
You're kidding?
Yeah,
the pretty one.
Yeah, I think she committed suicide. If I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
I
a
have
Was
to
it
shame.
after,
look it up. There is, I think you're right about that, Chuck, because I had looked that up at one point.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, I'm very strange. I always look up the cast members. I don't know,
was it
I
after
think it
doing
was
the film?
Carolyn Craig.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, Carolyn Craig, self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Gunshot,
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Really?
yep.
She
yeah,
was
Sherry,
very,
1970.
yeah,
she was
Sherry
very
told
pretty.
me. Sherry told me already. Oh, I married a strange one. I said, yes, you did.
Wait. And why? How old was she when she committed suicide? I mean, the film was done in the 1950s, right?
She was 36.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
1970, how can that be?
Yeah, because she was
It's a shame.
let's see, so she was born in 1934 and the film was 59.
Hmm.
34, 44. So she was a little bit over 20 years old when she was in the film.
Right.
Oh wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so she was 36 when she killed herself.
Yeah. A lot of these, the actors and actresses had, had a terrible end. You know what I mean? It's a shame.
That really blew my mind when you said that, because I think one of the things I like about that film the most, and when you look at the French poster, which I think you guys have seen a bunch of times, that I've sent you pictures of it with the blue background, her face in there is what makes that poster, and the
Oh,
skeleton.
yeah.
That poster, the French version of that poster, and I don't know if you guys ever seen the French version of the bat, but that is also phenomenal, man. It has like a shadow of Vincent Price, and his hand is like a skeleton with a
Hmm.
glow around his hand.
Yeah.
It's really an awesome poster, man.
Do
It's
you have an original of House on Haunted Hill?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to tell you. I, I went to Chiller back about, I don't know, 10 years ago, and they had one. The guy was asking $555 for it, and
That's
I'm like,
pretty cheap for it.
555, huh?
That's pretty cheap for it.
No, but this is 10 years ago, So
That's
I
still
went
cheap.
around. Well, I went around and around for it, and I kind of asked the guy. I was waiting till the end to see if I could talk him down to like 350, and I took $500, and I go, whoa, where is it? Just right before I go, somebody just bought it,
Oh,
and I go,
wow.
how much you sold it for? He goes, I took it down. I took the price down. He actually gave me 600. I go, what? I was going to talk him down, but anyway, I told the guy, if you ever come across, it took 10 years. Finally, last year, the guy calls me up and says, look, Eddie, I have one, and since you bought so much over the years from me, I'll give it to you for 500, but you got to send it. I sent him the money overnight, man. It was like, I PayPal'd him right on the spot. I got the poster in almost perfect condition, although the poster is so thin that when you try to unfold it,
Oh, yeah.
it ripped about half an inch on one side, but I'm gonna get it linen backed. I'm waiting on it because it's like $400 to get it linen backed. But the poster itself goes for like $2,000, $3,000. But I also, in the process, came across an original The Bat, which is also, because in case you guys don't know, those posters are the French ones are 57 by 60. They're huge, right?
Wow.
And I said to Jim, my buddy, I said, Jim, I got to get it. And he goes, Eddie, you have that. I go, wait a minute. I actually had bought The Bat for like $100 and some over 10, 15 years ago. I haven't seen it. I don't know exactly what it is. It's probably going to show up in the next couple of days in the storage. But I haven't seen The Bat in a while. But The Bat and the House on Haunted Hill, those two posters, I think, in my opinion, would be worth to put $1,000 into the two posters. Get them both linen backed, and framing. I don't know how much a frame like that would cost, but they would look fabulous if you had the wall space. So, hey Joe, can I borrow your house?
Yeah, yeah. Just send me the posters and we'll borrow some room. That would probably, man, to frame those, that would probably
Oh, that
be
would
a
be cool.
fortune, because it's going to have to be a custom frame, and man, you're going to pay a fortune for that.
Yeah, it's not only that. The problem is that I don't know if you can put a glass that big, because the weight would be enormous.
That's true.
Remember we talked about that with the what was it, that King Kong poster from 1976 that I got? Was it the 76 poster, Eddie? What's that real huge one?
Yeah, I think it is 76. Yeah, the one that you got, and that, well, guess what? You see how big that is? The French ones are bigger than that, because that's 40 by 60, I think. And the French ones are, the King Kong, I don't know if it's 40 by 60 or a little bigger than that.
I thought it was somewhere around
80.
50 by 80 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, but
It's huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge.
Wow. I never heard of a poster that big. 80. Holy smoke.
Oh, you never seen that one, Chuck? I'll have to send you. I think I still have photos. I put it in my. I opened it and put it on my kitchen floor, and it took up my entire
Wow.
yeah, you
That's
did.
a big poster.
You did, and not only is it big, but the French posters are larger or wider.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't where in the world would you put anything that big, and how in the world could you even frame something like that? It's crazy.
I have no idea. I'm trying to look. I'm trying to find it online because that poster is very hard to find. What it was something from didn't they offer it in comic books or something?
No, Joe. They offered it in fame. The only place I ever saw it being offered was Famous Monsters of Filmland, like the 1970s issues. The thing with that poster is that it's actually that poster was they did a double take on that poster. They took the one where he's holding the girl over the New York City in the one hand, and they actually copied the right hand and kind of flipped it over and put it. So if you notice, both hands are identical. And he's over the skyscraper of New York City. That poster I had, and you guys know the story. I mean, Chuck doesn't, but it was stolen from me one time after the fire I had in 1995.
Oh, wow.
And I was able years later to obtain the poster again in the original envelope it came in. Joe, honestly, I was thinking about that the other day because I came across the poster. And since you do have that poster, I'm going to try, Joe, to see if I can get the envelope that it goes in, the oversized envelope, and have the image that comes with the original envelope printed for you. So you can store it in that envelope because, the image, it's just a white envelope and you can just photocopy and you wouldn't be able to tell if it's an original envelope or not. It could be that good of a copy, but I want to put where there's a kid in front of it pointing to the King Kong in the wall. And it's really like a nice envelope for you to put it in.
I can't even find much information online. I'd have to go back through my what's it called, my eBay stuff, but it's huge. It's huge. I mean, it's huge.
Joe, there is a guy. I got to get a hold of him. I was thinking about it the other day. He actually framed the Creature from the Black Lagoon French poster, and he's standing in front of that, and he did it himself. And what he used to frame it were, like when you go to Home Depot, you buy those or what do you call it, decorative things for your house that goes like the baseboards and stuff. What do they call those? Not baseboards. There's pieces of wood that are ornated. They go along the wall, in the bottom of the wall. You know what I'm talking about? He made a frame from that, and I wanted him to
like
show me
the baseboards.
Yeah, well, he told me. Yeah, that's right, baseboards. He told me that how to do it and stuff, and then I know he did say you have to put like a wire in the back, like a tension wire, kind of like a crisscross because of the fact that it's so big. He says it tends to want to go like warp, like to the sides.
Right.
But he did it. He did a good job with that. I don't know if he put plexiglass or the whole thing. It's very hard, I think, to be able to get a glass or anything to cover something that big.
Yeah, you'd have to get a plexiglass, a thin plexiglass, because it would be so heavy. And
yeah, definitely.
That's the problem we looked into we were talking about, how would we frame that King Kong poster, and just looking at the wood and the plexiglass involved, it would cost more to frame it than the posters, actually worth.
Yeah.
So
why don't you go ahead and frame yours, Joe, and then tell me how to do it so I can do mine?
Yeah, I'll have to take out a second mortgage just to get it framed. But Chuck, I'll try to find the
try to send it to me. I'd like to set, man. I've never heard of a poster 80 inches. That's amazing.
Holy well, Chuck and Joe. I mean, I don't know if I've told you, but I have an Italian poster of Frankenstein. It's a 3-sheet because poster come in 3, 4, and this one's 108 inches by
oh my goodness,
by 60 something.
Wow.
And Frankenstein's on the table. Dr. Frankenstein's looking at him, and there's like a lightning bolt hitting the head of Frankenstein. It's a really nice poster. But they do have.
I just hold on. I just found it on my oh shoot, where did it go? Because we're running out of time. I just found it on my eBay here. and it's 76 by 52.
76, still big. Wow.
Yeah, that's huge. But hey, guys, we got about 40 seconds left here. So, guys, thank you guys for joining us. Everyone out there in podcast land, thank you for listening to us once again. Every week we put out a new podcast. Find us on your favorite platform. Subscribe to our channel. Give us a great review, you know, if you're enjoying what we're doing. Also, head over to houseoftheunusual.com. That's our flagship site. We have a great forum there that's free. And if you want to hear some different stuff or anything or be a guest, let us know there. Drop us a line, and we'll try to do that for you. So, guys, that's all we got for the night. Thank you and good night.
All right, good night. God bless
everybody. Bye-bye.